are you shooting for nationals after that or?
Yeah, and we could talk about this more when G joins, but he's actually my coach, and we're both planning on doing amateur Olympia together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I told him not to mess with my peak on purpose because,
Yeah.
we're gonna be in the same height class too. That's how we actually all met, was that we were in the same Ultimate Grand Prix class in 2023 when I was last on stage, and we were all Class B open. So, and then G went on to win the overall of that show, and then we just all kind of connected after. So, I think that's a real testament to the sport and what it can do for you friendship wise. Like, obviously now we run a podcast, and we have bigger plans after that too. But I think I always say it's a shame if people don't make connections when they're at these shows. You see some people with their headphones on and they don't want to talk to anyone, but it's an experience, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. No, that whole backstage for me has always been just a big friendship pit. And everybody that's all hard back there and you're a warrior, blah, blah, blah. That ship sailed. That was 12 weeks. Today's the day to go out, smile, shake a couple of hands, and go show it on stage.
Right. It's honestly depending on the athlete too, but unlike most sports, like once you get to the show, like the work's been done. Like, I mean, you have to execute your posing and everything, but you're not going to gain 10 pounds of muscle in half an hour, right? So it's like, if anything, you want to keep yourself relaxed. And a lot of the pros will talk about it like this is not where you're going to come in like all psyched up with smelling salts, right? Like you want to be as relaxed as possible. I used to play semi-professional lacrosse, so obviously I had to change my perspective a little bit. I still
Yeah.
want my solitude at sometimes with my headphones, but at the end of the day, whatever you can do to stay loose is going to be beneficial. So,
Yeah. That first call out can't be a yard sale for you out there knocking somebody's mask and gloves off.
oh yeah, yeah,
Let me
yeah.
turn this down.
And I know you're a veteran,
Yes.
so and a comedian, a veteran, a bodybuilder. We have a lot to cover. But I figured it would be best to start off where it began for you. So I don't know if you want to start with your experience in the military and the Marines, or if you want to maybe discuss how bodybuilding started for you. But I figured we let whatever makes the most sense for your story.
So whenever you're ready, we can dive in.
Yeah,
Do you want to wait
yeah,
for
we can
guys?
dive in. I know G is about to
Okay.
join, so yeah, if you want to just kind of maybe introduce yourself to our listeners.
All right. Hey guys, Tim Wilkins. Some of you may know me from hosting your shows or from the podcast Primetime Muscle on Olympia TV, the Olympia pay-per-view, or as a comedian. A lot of people see me on stage and go, I know that guy is a comedian. Why is he up there emceeing my bodybuilding show? It's been an interesting 35 years of work and fun and combining all my passions, lifting, making people laugh. And one of the greatest gifts as an MC and as a host of events is being the guy that brings out the greatness of others, saying that name, saying that title, being there for people's big moments. There's a magic to that that a lot of people don't realize, that I get to live through other people's accomplishments, defeats, victories. It's a pretty exciting place.
Yeah, the comedian that's now announcing the show. But I mean, it's all entertainment, right? It's all show business at the end of the day.
Well, unfortunately for a lot of bodybuilding shows, it isn't entertainment. It could be drudgery, but I've really taken a big pride in, since 1998, trying to make these shows a show and something special. Fill the lulls with something more than a shout out to the biggest bodybuilder in the room or the sponsors. I'll do that.
Mhm.
If you're looking to hire me, I'm definitely going to mention your sponsors.
All
But
right.
if something funny happens, I'm in the moment. I'm going to mention it and try to keep things a little more special so it's a memorable event for everybody.
And you're based in California, right?
Actually, I'm in Florida. I'm in Orlando.
Oh, you're in Orlando. Okay, we're in Fort Lauderdale, so
Okay. Yeah, I'm
not
I'm
far.
from LA originally.
So I started the sport. My first show was 2021. Or sorry, 2022. I started training 2021. I've done three shows now, and I would say the shows in Florida, especially if you're in a big market, even the regional shows now are such a production, right? I mean, you have the national anthem at night at the UGPs, FGPs. You'll have 10 Olympians at a given time coming for the night show. Everyone's dressed, ready to go. You'll have Issa from Wellness or Laura Lee. And that's so unique, right? Like, and I try to put it into context for people that are maybe in different sports. And it's like, what other sport as an amateur could you compete with, say, football, Tom Brady showing up to your flag football event? And that just like doesn't happen. So your access to the pros and the sport is just so different.
The whole thing is so aspirational. From your very first time on stage, you can see that. You see these pros, you see your idols. You'll sit out in the audience and see somebody you've watched on in magazines, and well, back in my day it was magazines, and now on the internet that's one of your absolute idols. You go, that guy's in the front row. He's watching me pose, and you maybe, just maybe, the guy will walk with good conditioning, you got good balance, whatever it is that pumps you up for another 2 years that you want to just go back and kill it in the gym.
Absolutely. And speaking of the overall winner of that show, we got Giancarlo here.
How you doing, Tim?
Hey, Giancarlo,
Um,
and you're wearing the Win the Day shirt. I'm headed out to Labrada this weekend, and
Oh
I'm going
yeah,
to train at that gym. Don't think I'm not.
yeah. I love Hunter. I love to go out there when I go to Texas.
That's a special place, isn't it? To be in that, that's like hallowed ground,
Yes, yeah, very special, holy ground.
holy ground, where him and his dad, the legend,
Yes,
picked every piece of equipment in that place.
so sick.
I
How's everything, Tim? Though, how's I know you do the Olympia TV. I watch you guys all the time. Chris Cormier and what's the other guy's name? I forget.
Tarek Elgindi,
Yeah, Derek Elgindi. Yeah,
and
you guys
and
are funny.
Tarek, those guys are all over the world, and I feel so bad for them. When I fly out there, I'm usually fresh. And luckily, I have the middle seat to keep things flowing. But Chris has just come in from Dubai. Tarek's come in from Singapore. Tarek's a head judge all over the world, so he's a busy dude. And Chris has got Camp Cormier flying all over the world with. I think just recently he was out with Blessing Awadibu. He was helping Nextzilla for a while. He's the main guy for Breon Ansley, who's we're trying to get him to win the Olympia this year.
Yes, yes. I would like to see that.
I would
I'm
too.
a big Breon fan.
I'm a huge Breon fan. He's just got a brick wall. Mike the badass.
Yes,
That's going to be a challenge this year.
yeah,
He
crazy
I-
shit.
Crazy shape and crazy conditioning. I hope he can make weight. I always say this, but he looks so huge right
I'm
now.
very curious to talk about this for a second. Mike, who has no doubt an incredible physique, a lot of people are saying like that looks more 212 to me. So without saying my opinion yet, I'm curious, Tim, your thoughts on it. Obviously, the sport is a gray area, right? Like there's no fine line here, so to speak. But in terms of you look at these guys, like you look at a Mike the badass, and I just see depth and roundness, right? Similar to like a Marty Fitzwater, who is not one of the
Oh,
biggest open guys, right? So, and then you look at some of these other classic guys that are a little more slender, they have a lot of muscle, but that roundness isn't like the first word in your mind wouldn't be round. It would be a little bit more sleek. So I'm curious to get your opinion on this.
212 is a difficult thing for me. I have a hard time. It's kind of this Twilight Zone nether region. I don't know where that goes kind of thing. Keon to me personifies it, and everybody else could be classic or open. Um, I think Mike's shape and size and density is flawless. I really think he gave Chris a better run for his money than people know last year. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Urs Kalachinsky can step up. Urs came in pretty round last year. He came in a little too round, but he was rounder. I think Vissers is out. Breon's going to look incredible. It's going to be interesting to see at that top five. Matt Grego. There's another guy that's round. He's got full muscle
Virgo's
bellies.
really making a lot of
Yeah,
improvements. Training with Lunsford is
Frisino.
big for him.
Yeah.
But and then you have, I mean, it's a depth, right? It's a depth game now, and I'm really excited for this year in particular. Like even though Chris Bumstead is not going to be there, and there's still that Bubs for Classic, I think says it all. Obviously Keon's bringing more attention to 212 now, and he was on Jay Cutler's podcast talking about how he will go open when the timing is right. So that's exciting. But I agree. I mean, the Classic, you also have Ramon, right? Who in the offseason, I mean, he looks open like in the
Yeah.
offseason. He's so big,
So big.
so
So
big.
big. I always forget about Ramon. And then Tarek and I got in a big fight because Tarek's Brazilian, even though he's got a name from the no-fly list. You'd never know he was Brazilian. He defends him and Horst and Rafael Brandon and all those guys to the end. And a couple of years ago, he said, Chris is going to step down and Rafael is the heir apparent. And I said, no, he's not. No, he's not. And then Mike stepped up and Rafael just kind of faded in. I said, what did I tell you? I think Ramon's going to come back hard and angry this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he can A, make weight, and B, what kind of dent he can make in the top three.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's probably six guys that are gonna be pushing, and And then for the Open, obviously it's going to be an exciting year with Nick Walker backing up a lot of his talk and looking really good in New York and Pittsburgh. Um,
You brought up Fitzwater.
Fitzwater,
Did you see that
funny,
latest check-in pick?
I haven't seen his
Yeah.
latest one. My thing with Fitzwater is that he beautiful shape, and it's just a question of when his muscle maturity and everything catches up, I think. Sometimes his chest looks a little washed, and if his tan isn't right, I know he talks a lot about taking the peptides to help with his tan before the show, but when he looks really white, it doesn't do him any favors. But he's going to be a problem in the future for sure. I see him
Absolutely.
and Keon as kind of the future of open. I mean, these guys with these crazy small waists, but still having that roundness to their physique.
That's if they can get past the mindset of bigger, 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 because you lose all those deads, all those big movements, all those heavy squats, your waist has to widen out. So if they're going to maintain those beautiful aesthetics, those beautiful lines, they've got to get to the fine tuning stage and not think that it's a mass contest. It's at some point it becomes an aesthetics contest.
No, I agree 100%. And that goes for a lot of divisions. You know what I mean? Because people kind of want to stick to a way that they know how to train, or they've trained, for years, and they've made this progress, but that may not be what you need for that division. And you sometimes you need to fine tune and pull away from, the powerlifting, you know, free weight movements, that they usually thicken the obliques. So yeah, to get that small waist, it's all about exercise selection and, obviously having the right diet and having the right protocols attached with it. So
Well, Giancarlo, that really makes me ask you two,
yeah,
since you're men's physique guys,
yes.
where do you think the division's going? Do you think it's getting too big, and do they need to rein this back?
You go first.
Yeah, that's I I believe where it's at now, it should stay.
Okay.
I don't believe it should, get anywhere past that. I think they finally found, where they want to have the shorts. They found the look as far as keeping the legs balanced with the upper body. Um, I personally like the look more now than back in the day when I started. I think it looks at least more like, you won't see it so much at the amateur level or the national level, but when I see the pros and the Olympians, I just see, that's like a professional top tier look that I would want to achieve,
Yeah.
and escalate to. So I think that should be the standard for that division. Yes.
I think they had to do something. I agree with that. And I do think in general weight classes make sense. I think they should probably revise the weights a little bit over time. I think we've seen a lot of the shorter guys really struggle to make weight. And most of my friends that are in the pro league are the shorter guys. The taller guys, a lot of them like the Banks of the world, Banquill, they'll say, "Oh, or Toplin, we got 16 pounds that we can grow with," and so I just think in terms of like making an even playing field, I think they need to be fair to some of the shorter guys and maybe go to the whatever weight makes sense for the height, to where it's not so lopsided in terms of these shorter guys really struggling at the end, hurting their physiques. Like I know my friend Brandon Cantaloupes is pretty big dude, and his preps are pretty tough. And it's a shame because we want to see these guys at their best. So there's that fine line between showing them at their best and letting them get too extreme and adding the muscle they just don't need. So I don't have the answer for it, but I'm for it.
I
Um,
think aesthetically it had to be dialed back. It was getting
I agree.
like a classic guy in board shorts, or at times it was almost open guy in board shorts, especially when they balanced out the legs. And as a guy who struggles to cap off his shoulders, I had to throw the flag and say they're too big. They're too big.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I entered, even when I started the sport in 2021, I mean, it was a different ballgame then, even. And now these guys at the regional level, I think it was at Chisel, there was a guy I think came like third in his class and then he won his pro card in Universe. So
This
depending on
year,
the, yeah, depending on the class, if you're in a just that high class on the day is stacked, it's some of these guys are they're big. I mean, G's I would say one of the bigger guys regionally for sure. He's only going to have about 7, 8 pounds to play with when he goes pro already, because we're 5'8".
you hear what
So,
he said, G? He said when.
Yeah, yeah,
When you go pro, not if, when.
oh
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
like
happening this year.
Yes,
And
sir.
I told him we're going to be doing Amateur Olympia together, and that you promise you won't mess up my peak on purpose. But yeah, the Amateur Olympia is a show that it's interesting because a lot of people will either say good things about it or they don't take it seriously for some reason. They'll say it's not actually on the Olympia stage, or it's not as prestigious as nationals, whatever it is. But um, I take a lot of pride in going to a show that has any of the Olympia branding behind it. I think it's special, and I know it's a worldwide event, but I don't think it's fair for the people that look down on it as like second fiddle to the Olympia. Like for amateurs, I think that's a big show, and I'm excited to be there.
As the guy who's emceed it for the last 6 years, and been around it for almost, I don't even want to tell you guys. It has the prestige of any show, anywhere, anytime. It is an Olympia connected show. It's an Olympia, and it is the amateur Olympia. Although there are others in other countries, this is the one that they come from the last 2 years, 60 to 65 countries. I've had years in the last 2 years with three names over 25 letters. That's just the last name.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that the hardest competition from around the world isn't coming there. You've earned your pro status. 2 years ago was the year Ejike beat Larry Wheels by 1 point after three pose offs. And he was so good. They were both so good. I said to Ejike, a lot of guys, when they get their pro card, will go, and you've got a year to 3 years before you're any kind of factor. I was emceeing the Florida Classic for Stacy Taylor in Sarasota on a GK's debut, and he took a close second. He almost qualified for the Olympia on his debut. So the caliber of international athlete that's going to the Amateur Olympia is insanely good. The categories are deep, but not quite as deep as some of the national shows. But some of those are deep because 25 of those people don't belong there. They're not ready. They qualified at a show with three other people, five other people. They did well, but they hopefully they just think they're going for their experience. A lot of times their coach said, "This is your year." Well, your year might be in 3 years. It might be G's year because he was ready. You're just not. It's a big that leap between local winner to regional winner to nationals, qualifier, pro card, and then the pros. Each one of those leaps is huge.
Oh, 100%, especially now more than ever. And we talked about this a little bit on a previous podcast, but we really think I think there needs to be a step under regionals now. I think, just like in high school football, you have county, state, nationals. There's no reason you're not going to lose business, right? The more shows are better. And I think regionals has got to the point where it puts pressure on the newer athletes to push the drugs, to do things they're not ready to do just to catch up, right? Whereas if we make sure the filter is a little bit more streamlined, it will allow for the natural progression. Like I wish the NPC had a better relationship with the OCB because I think every competitor should start off naturally. I did 4 years of naturally. I only just started, with testosterone replacement 3, 4 months ago, and this is the first time I'm doing any of that. Right, so this would be the first show I've had any help. But learning the posing right, all the variables you control, how to eat properly, how to train with intent, how to hit your angles. These are all things. I mean, G also started naturally as well himself. And for these guys, I mean, I coach posing, and almost every first time competitor I've had to pose, and I ask them like what they're taking, and the list is just so long. And then they ask me what I'm on, and I tell them what I'm on, and they look bemused. And it's like it's a shame that the sport, and I get why it's happening, obviously. You see these regional guys, or you see a G walking around or whatever, and you're like, damn, how am I going to compete with that? And well, we all know what the answer is usually going to be.
Here's the problem, though, and this is what I wish, as you guys are obviously putting out good information and good motivation. I wish the answer was more, how am I going to look like that someday? Not how am I going to look like that in 6 weeks? And not realizing even in 6 weeks, if you put on that size, it's not real, it's not quality, it's not long lasting, and it damn sure wasn't safe. Um, Too much youth. I want everybody, like you did, to max out their natural potential, go through the diet a few times, compete a few times, and say, is this for me? And what's my end goal? Before I jump on stuff that could change my life forever or end it at any moment, what do I want? And if I get my nationals and I get a pro card, what am I going to do with that? Because this isn't 1988 anymore. Joe Weider isn't going to cut you a bodybuilding check to be on this cover for 250 to be at his beck and call for photo shoots. Well, I'm thinking of a supplement company that I'm EAS isn't going to throw you $500,000 to be on their protein boxes anymore. You're going to be somebody's ambassador for 10% of what your website sells. So
Right.
let's chill out a little and start to think what our goals are before we ruin or change our lives. Let's 19, 20, 24, 25 is not the time to push your endocrine system and see what you can handle. Get out there and take a couple laps before you start deciding, is this for me?
No, I agree 100%. That comes with enjoying the journey and being present and not like thinking so far ahead all the time. I think people they just set unrealistic goals for themselves, and they're willing to do whatever it takes at this level. At an amateur level, which is mind blowing to me because once you get to the pro level, if you do make it to the pro level, it's like where do you go from there? And then from pro, it's to Olympian. So there's always stages that you need to work yourself up and keep improving. So you always want to leave some cards to be played. If you play all the cards in the beginning, then when you get up there, you got nothing left.
Well, that's what I would ask you. Going 4 years natural like that,
Yeah.
when you go start out natural, you max yourself out. You've still got gears to shift to. When you start out in fifth, when you finally jumped on TRT, how big of a boost did you
Listen,
get?
I'm only on 140 a week. All right. And the difference, G will tell you, he coaches me. I mean, the difference from my physique 4 months ago, I mean, I took an 18-month off season. Most of the improvements have been in the past 6 months. Um, and it just goes to show, but I'm 35, right? I've always trained hard. So the muscle maturity was never really an issue. But obviously, size, I think a lot of things you see between natural athletes and enhanced is the roundness to the shoulders. So the biggest difference I see is like the rear delts and everything starting to round out, whereas a lot of the natural guys will be a little bit their shoulders aren't as capped. And so that was like the biggest problem I had was like, okay, I can my chest was naturally good insertions, low lat insertions. It was just a size thing for me. And it didn't take much to get a response from my body, right? And I go through the right way. Like I get my blood work every 2 months. I'm very careful about it. Um, and what happens when you have a 21-year-old that is maxed out, they're taking all this gear, right? Like your body it's all about response. So how are you going to create a response when you've already done the max of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to like, let's say you take difference between adding tren and 800 tests versus 200 tests, which you can still get a response out of. It's like trying to go from a 200 max bench straight to a 300 max bench. And so to your point earlier, like our body is not built to make a certain amount of change in so much time. So you just, I mean, the shame is bodybuilding is all about delayed gratification. And I think most people miss that factor of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I started about 10 years ago with TRT at 46
Okay.
because I was getting ready for a show and wasn't losing fat in my girl areas. And my trainer said, dude, you have some estrogen issues. And boy, was he right. And my test was 25. And my doc said, that's got to be a mistake. He reran it. It was 16. And it took a year and a half to get it over 300.
Wow.
But it was a steady process. It was frequent blood work done safely. But that's when you want to get it done, not when you're 18 and you got the testosterone. Those are like little zombies. I want to eat them. I want to eat everything everything you have as an 18 to 22-year-old is
Yeah.
what 50-year-old guys are paying good money for every month to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah. I mean, I was at like 260, 280, and I was 35, right? So I was like, okay. It's going down by like 100 a year, 150 a year. And I don't plan on doing this past 40. So I'm like, if this is my time to kind of, and honestly, I made the decision mostly because it was affecting everything else I do. I'm in software sales. I have to be productive. And I just felt horrible all the time. So the bodybuilding really was a benefit in my mind. The main decision was for life enjoyment and overall productivity, not being so, moody all the time. And it's kind of ironic that I'm probably less moody now on a little bit than I was before. But again, it's case by case. I was 35, I'd maxed out everything I could possibly do. And now it's like, okay, here's the next step. Your body is deficient in X, Y, and Z, which is fine. So I think there's a place for it. I'm not anti-drug. There's a process to it. And the good thing is the industry does seem to be making a bit of a pivot to being more transparent, being better about promoting blood work and doing things the right way. Because I hope longer the days of hey, you know someone at the gym that can get you some stuff, right? Like my own doctor told me, he said the stuff you're getting is pharmacy grade. So like you're taking 140 a week, but it's probably more like 250 a week comparatively to what the guys are getting in the black market. So it's I wish people just cared a little bit more about what they put in their body because we see
Yeah.
some sad stories all the time, that I think it was a wellness competitor who just passed recently from a heart
The
attack.
Elena
bikini,
Blanco.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just so sad because these people, their heart's in the right place. But look, we all know the risks, right? Like F1 drivers, they have a risk. There is going to be a risk at the end of the day, no matter what you do, especially if you're trying to do it at the high level. But there's still steps you can do to be as careful as you possibly can, like wear a helmet when you're driving or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I do want to pivot a little bit, Tim, and go towards maybe some of the non-bodybuilding stuff. And your bio is the hardest to write, by the way, for our athlete announcement or guest announcement because you've done so much. But take us back to kind of where the comedian Tim started and where you kind of found your flair for entertainment.
That goes way back. Ever since I talk about a little kid, 6, 7 years old. Uh, the talk show host that would have guests come out from behind a curtain. I'd be in the house waiting for my family to come in and pop out from behind the curtain and tell jokes. It's in my fourth grade yearbook, my 12th grade yearbook. All I wanted to be was a comedian. So that was a path. Um, Probably mid to late high school, I found weightlifting and I'd always wanted to serve. So when I started off in college, I was definitely bored with it, went straight to the Marines. And it was a kick that I definitely needed. It was a kick in the butt, dialed in my discipline pretty hard. When I got out, I was working a job and realized there was one dream still on the table that it's not going to go away. And just started doing comedy. And within a week, somebody offered me $10 for 10 minutes. They said, if you want to come back to my club on Friday night, do 10 minutes, I'll give you $10. Well, my dumbass did math and said, $10, 40 hours a week, that's like 4 grand. I'm rich. I didn't realize all you do is 10 minutes. You don't get a chance to do 40 hours of comedy. So I quit my job and dove straight into stand up at that point, and then started doing open mic nights 3 to 5 nights a week, working random jobs that it would
That's
subsidize
tiring
my
too,
rent.
right? That's tiring work.
Brutal. Well, and a lot of the open mic nights were an hour to 3 hours away. So I'd write jokes every morning, drive an hour to 2 hours away, wait in line to sign up, and then go on between 8 and 1 in the morning, then drive home, then do it day after day, honing a routine until you had enough time where you could go out on the road and do 15 to 30 minutes. And then each time you're hoping to move up to the next spot and move up to the next spot. And that was 1990 to about 97 before I got on the road full time doing comedy.
That's
That's
awesome. Where are you from?
LA.
Oh, LA. Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You were in the movie Bigger, right?
Yeah, I've been friends with Dan Solomon for about 20 years. And Dan called and said, "Hey, I'm putting together this movie." He'd been working with Eric Weeder, and he really wanted to tell the Joe Weider story and tell the bodybuilding story. And he called me and said, "I think I've got the perfect job for you and Chickarillo." And he said, "Do you idiots think you could play announcer?" So yeah. And so that was what led to that. And it was Dan was on set. Sergio Oliva was playing on that was one. You guys ever see that iconic picture with Sergio and Callum?
I don't know if I saw.
I believe
I've
so.
probably seen it because I love Callum. I've followed him forever.
So Callum and Sergio are about to go in and play that scene where Arnold and Sergio battle out on stage. And we're going back and forth from the food truck where we always were to the set. And we get out of the van, and something just kind of came over the guys that we went, wow, you guys really look the part. And I was honored to take that picture of the two of them and they hit that pose. And it was just, there's Sergio and Arnold. Check it out. It was a cool moment. It was also a cool moment. So we're driving over and Callum's in the front and Dan's up there and there's the picture of all of us in the van. And Callum had been working with a dialect coach for like 6 months. And he leans over his shoulders. Hey guys, I'm just not getting this Arnold voice. It's not sinking in. I'm not getting it. I'm working with this lady for 5 months. I got nothing. And I'm headed to the damn movie. So we go, Callum, it's not that hard, man. He goes, we'll do it. And we all started going, and he goes, that's it? And he goes, that's all. And he nailed it in like 2 seconds.
So how was it working with Callum? Because side note, Callum was probably the reason why I got into, I mean, Arnold, yes, but
Yeah.
when I was playing college lacrosse, even that far ago in 2011, kind of when Callum, that first video that went viral of Callum behind his neck pressing, I think it was two plates on each side. He had this like old school tank and short
Oh
outfit,
yeah.
obviously a good looking dude, right? Like everything like the muscles were crazy. It was like the modern day Arnold. And I was just like, I found my enjoyment all over again because my dad used to show me pumping iron when I was a kid. And then, as I grew up, I kind of wasn't thinking about bodybuilding. And then all of a sudden, Callum comes along and it kind of like reinvigorated that passion for lifting again. And so my buddies and I would be watching Callum videos on YouTube before we go train and lift. So I mean, it's a shame, obviously, his career and how it's gone. And
Yeah.
I got to meet him once in the UK, and such a nice guy who's had most unfortunate of series of events happen to him. But how was it working with a guy like that?
Okay, this was probably the coolest set of camaraderie. Callum was just there to have fun and do his job. He was really focused because he really knew that this could possibly launch his acting career. This was going to be a big break. Um, the other one that was really cool was Kevin Durant, who you'll know from 100 movies, who played the bad guy in that movie. And it turns out he's a huge bodybuilding fan. So he's peppering Callum and Sergio with questions. And they were just eating, laughing, and just answering everything. Those guys, everybody had such a good time. And I don't know if you guys are Chickarillo fans. He can be a polarizing figure is the word I'm looking for. Chick is one of the funniest, smartest guys. And just to hold court with the five of us, six of us just sitting around just going at each other was a
I love
blast.
Bob. I think
I
Bob,
love Bob.
his voice, like he is bodybuilding. His voice is bodybuilding. I mean, he's the voice of bodybuilding for a reason. So I thought but I thought Callum, especially since I mean, he's not an actor, right? But he did such a good job impersonating kind of Arnold, I think, for the movie. The movie itself was awesome. I think sometimes you hear about these movies and you're like, that sounds like such a cool idea, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to execute. And I really think they did execute. The guy who played Weeder was unbelievable. Um, the movie, it was just a good movie. I mean, it's one of those times where it's like the topic of the movie is like you hope it turns out really well, and it did.
Yeah. No, it was a well done historical kind of bio movie, but with all solid actors, everybody in it. The script was good. It was shot. George Gallo, that's the director, shot it beautifully. So that was a really fun movie to be a part of. And it was one of the things that fired up my dream of movie making. As COVID hit and I'm trying to decide what I want to be when I grow up after 30 years in stand-up, I said to my wife, I want to get in the movie business and make movies. I want to do cool stuff. I want to make magic and leave history.
On the topic of movies, what was your opinion on Magazine Dreams?
I
Ooh.
haven't seen it yet.
Oh, Tim, you gotta
Yeah,
go see it.
I got to
It
see it.
it's
It was a
okay.
disappointment to
I've
me, but
never seen a movie that has created such a emotional response from myself watching. G left the movie theater. Like he literally walked out. Like,
Wow.
gone. See you guys later. Like, without giving it away, I think, G's point, which I agree, I think it does paint bodybuilding in its like most negative light. And there's not that many bodybuilding movies out there. So for us, it's like kind of a shame because you know that if this catches on in mainstream, this is kind of what people are going to be thinking about. Obviously, there's whole other sides to bodybuilding than those sides. So I agree with G's point on that. I still think if you think of it as not a bodybuilding movie and like a mental health movie, I think it's phenomenal. As a bodybuilding movie, they marketed it as a bodybuilding movie, and that's the problem we had with it. But as a emotional uh, tugger, like a mind-bending kind of emotional movie, it was on point, I thought.
Mm.
Yeah,
That was O'Hearn was in that with Jonathan Majors, right?
it was, yes.
Like
yeah,
I'm a big fan of
Breon
Mike.
was in it. Brandon Hendrickson. They had a few people in that movie.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to see
Yeah.
it. It's just been a lot of travel the last few weeks and months since that. It's been about 8 weeks since it came out, I think.
Just make sure you watch
Yeah.
it when you're in a good frame of mind.
Yeah.
Like, don't watch it when you're down about something because that's
Yeah.
I saw Full Metal Jacket when I was about ready to leave for boot camp.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Uh, if Magazine Dreams will make you want to drop out of bodybuilding, this will definitely make you want to go AWOL and not go to boot camp.
Yeah. 100%.
I'd say Jonathan Majors though was unbelievable. He was unbelievable.
All right then.
So it's like it's hard to say, it's hard to like critique the movie when it was so well acted, so well executed. It's just again, I could see how people will take this. They're gonna make us as bodybuilders a laughing stock, and we already have enough of that. And it's like it'd be nice to have a movie that shows more of bodybuilding and more of its positive light. But yeah, definitely worth a watch for sure. And then shoot us a note when you do watch it. We want to get your
Okay.
thoughts.
Yeah,
Gladly.
Yeah.
I did enjoy, I've seen twice already. I've seen Breaking Olympia with Phil. He told me it was coming out and I couldn't wait to see it.
is that
So
on Amazon Prime?
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
It was on the I think it still is on the plane still. That was exciting. It's like it came out the next week I was on a flight, said, "Hey, I don't even have to pay for this," and I get to watch my friend.
That's awesome.
Um, out of curiosity, so being from a comedic background and then going into a sport like bodybuilding that is pretty serious. I mean, people take it very seriously. It's a very high testosterone sport. Um, how has comedy impacted your approach? So, like, have you been able to come into bodybuilding with a little bit more of a um, I guess a little bit lighter of a view, like not being as sensitive and being a little bit more like it's fine to make fun of myself or someone else and not get so butthurt over, feedback or whatever it is? Or did you kind of fall into that world of like tunnel vision, nothing else matters, kind of maybe part of what you experienced in the military? Because those are two very different backgrounds.
I would say I go 90% psycho when I compete and train.
Love the
The,
honesty.
the comedy doesn't really come out that much. Motivational me comes out, but cyber focused, watching videos, doing my cardio in the garage where it's hot and screaming at the TV. I'll come out and my wife is like, well, who are you yelling at? I said, I'm yelling at Jeremy Buendia because when I get my pro card, I'm going to kick his ass. And for no good reason, because I love Jeremy.
Yeah,
But I just get a little crazy. Now, the comedy on stage as an MC has had mixed reviews. I will say that. It took a long time to break down the industry and let them know, hey, it's worth a laugh, you guys. Loosen up. Let's go a little bit. Because people were not ready to laugh at themselves, the sport, the industry, anything when I came along.
I could tell that too. It and I understand it. Like, look from the outside looking in, and the sport does need some more of that entertainment aspect. So I love what you guys are doing for the sport and keeping us up to date, and like also just making it more fun. Because if it was all serious, bodybuilding's already serious 24/7. So if imagine watching a live, of people talking about bodybuilding and they're just sitting there just serious, angry. It's not the right flow.
There's so much comedy to everything we do.
Yeah.
When you really get down to the core, like cutting water on Thursday and slowly dialing from 2 gallons, which is insane, to nothing in the morning, and you wake up to compete on Saturday morning, you go to the bathroom and a puff of smoke comes out. That's the kind of thing that if you guys aren't
From
laughing
the
at
vitamins.
yourselves, I watch this show called OP Live, which is they follow 6 police departments around the country and they bust people. And I think if I get pulled over, I have 4 bags of white powder, a scale, I have creatine, glutamine, theanine, ketamine. I don't know what I got, all the means. But people's got to realize our life is a joke. And if they pulled me over and said, "Why do you have a scale?" I'd say, "For my chicken." Because when I eat out, I know they're stiffing me. This is not a 6 ounce portion. There's so much. I was just telling this story today. I was getting ready for a show, and my coach pulled carbs and red meat. So I was stuck with chicken and fish. And you know what we eat because we're all broke and don't know anything better. Well, I'll eat tilapia. Well, we are going to the movies, and I want to short my family of a movie. I said, "Hey, honey, can you put this tilapia in your purse?" And I'm the guy that pulled out the fish during a movie, and everybody around goes, "What is that horrible smell?" And I just looked around and I go, "I think they found Nemo."
Yeah, yeah, we do. I mean, I never feel weirder. I only feel weird when I'm with non-bodybuilders. When I'm with bodybuilders, you don't think of all the stuff we do, the water, the weighing the chicken, all that. Like when G and I go stay in a hotel room, it's like it's just chicken and rice and everything all over the place. And then I'm with people that don't bodybuild, and I'm like, all right, now I feel weird. Now I'm starting to get a little bit self-conscious.
Hey, before Protan came along and the pup tents were backstage, you had to get one of your bros to come over and paint you. And I can remember back in like the mid to late 90s, mid 2000s, getting a call from my buddy, guy, hey man, you gonna be in town this weekend? I got a show. I'm gonna need you to come around and paint my taint. I'm gonna go, dude, we're not that close. You're gonna have to get somebody to do that for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, oddly enough, bodybuilders still have their coaches and friends do it at times because they don't trust the company on the site. But yeah, no, it's an interesting sport. You know, it's a sport, it's an art, it's a lot of things. I think Chris Bumstead is so intriguing because he was the one that he was so not a bodybuilder in a way. Like he was like a normal professional athlete that was bodybuilding. Like he just his mentality, the way he dresses, the way he presents himself is not hardcore but old school bodybuilding. It's different. And I think that's part of what made him so popular. A little bit more, I mean, attainable, not the physique wise, but maybe his character. I don't know. I mean, that's part of my philosophy on why he's been so successful is every quote he writes, everything he does is just like that's on point. Like I'm as impressed with some of his quotes and the things, the way he words difficult situations as I am by his physique and his bodybuilding. Like I think about some of the speeches he's done and the things that a lot of it that's not prepared, and I'm like, this guy's like a poet. I mean, the way he can articulate human emotion so succinctly in a time of pressure is to me even more impressive than his physique.
I think he was one of the first ones to, I agree with all that. I think he's one of the first ones to really let us in through the journey and let us know how hard it was, but how inspiring it was to get through that, to get the relationship with Courtney. The entire thing, it's been the reality show for bodybuilders that we all love to be a part of. And it really gave us insight into hopefully who we wanted to be. That was he was a like you say, as much as we thought it was attainable, it was at least aspirational. It was at least something we would strive for, even if we didn't know that we could never get there.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's just a good guy that you root for, you want to see win. I think obviously Breon, different type of person, but he's also just a very genuine character, right? And I haven't met Breon personally, but you can just see in the way he presents himself. Um, Terrence Ruffin is another interesting character, right? Like he's a very well-spoken individual. Like these are people that break the mold of what people think of as just like the dumb bodybuilder that just eats food. These people are actually very intelligent, hyper intelligent people, and they are thinking very consciously about their sport and their art and how they go about presenting that art. I mean, you look at Arnold too. I mean, Arnold was also quite a character in his own right, and the way he described bodybuilding, it was all about art. I mean, there's that famous T-shirt, right, where he's doing the ballet classes, right?
Yeah, him and
Um,
Franco.
right. And you have guys like Mike the Badass, right? He walks around with his leg sleeves and everything. Like he's not worried about looking good. He just wants to do whatever it takes to look good on the Olympia stage, right? Like people might say, "Oh, you're walking around with like tights on your legs and all this stuff. That's not like cool for Instagram or whatever." But he's like the old school, like, "No, I'm just gonna do whatever gets the best physique on stage." And the
Yeah.
beauty is there's like an athlete for everyone, right? Like depending on your taste of what you want to root for. You have Nick Walker. I mean, I don't think we knew Nick had such a personality until he came out with his podcast with his buddy, right? Ginger and the Giant. All of a sudden, Nick can't shut up. Like he's telling jokes. He's got a smile on his face, right? And we've run into him a bunch of times in person because he used to live in Florida, and it's like he was always very mellow in person, very calm, like a nice guy, but you did not know that he had this personality.
I want Nick, I'm sure you guys, as a Nick fan, I want Nick to get it all the way to the Olympia stage this year. This last 2 years was a heartbreak. Not just for Nick, but for his fans and for all the doubters, the non-doubt, everybody. I know everybody's rooting for him just to get on stage this year and mix it up. Nick, I was really excited. I finally got to spend a lot of time with him at Olympia when they did one of the Olympia battles, where they fly in open, they fly in classic, and they work out with Cormier. And Nick, aside from being a really nice guy, was like 8 months out from the Olympia. We're at a really good steakhouse. Nick didn't eat the steak. He reaches in, pulls out the Tupperware. I'm like, bro, you got 10 months. You had 8 months. You'll undo that. You're good. bro, I don't fade. I'm good. And I was impressed. I ate his steak. Don't think I didn't, and I drank his wine too. But he was impressive, and he was impressive in his focus and just an all around good guy.
And that's what you root for, right? You want these guys, and a lot of these guys are good guys at the top. I think Men's Zeke has had more of the tit for tat kind of characters lately. It's still good for the sport within reason, right? We have a lot of characters. We have the Jeremy Buendias of the world. We have Aaron Banks, Brandon Hendrickson. I mean, these guys are big characters. You have Ryan Terry, who I would say is like the C-bum of men's physique because he's more clean cut, doesn't give off that hard edge old school vibe. He's a little bit more like that could be a pro American football player, right? Like the way he presents himself, he doesn't care about presenting that old school style. Then you have Buendia, half the time you look at him, you're like, is this guy an open bodybuilder? Like the way he trains, it's completely different. And I think it's like, okay, there's more than one way to be good at something, and there's more ways to show the art. I mean, at the end of the day, you go into an art gallery, you have different types of paintings, right? They're not all the same. So it's been interesting. I wonder, what do you think about the men's physique division right now and where it stands?
I love the trash talk. Absolutely love it. Ryan, I've had a huge respect for his entire. He's one of those guys that has chipped his way up the food chain to be Mr. Olympia, and I've had a huge respect for him as far back as 10th, but fifth and seventh. I said, "You're still my guy." It's one of those things like being a Cleveland Browns fan. You know, you go, "Okay, you guys probably never win, but I'm still a fan." I watched his whole rise and cheered the whole way. Just a great guy. I love the rivalry now with Brandon and Aaron and Jeremy and everybody just going at it. I think it's great for the sport. I don't know how much of it's manufactured. I don't care. I like wrestling, and I'm not going to worry about if the plot line is real or not. I want to see them body slam each other, not them, the wrestlers. Uh, Aaron last year, as one of my favorites, showed up at the Olympia press conference in some kind of a wild getup with cowboy boots on a
Oh, and
scooter
the cowboy
and
hat.
a cowboy. I'm like, this guy's awesome.
I mean,
He definitely has a style, you
He's
know.
got a style. But Aaron was the one last year and the year before that said, we as pros, we need to get out there and make sure that we're at more competitions to get the fans out for the promoters to have more butts in the seats. And I had huge respect for that too. He's looking out for the health of the sport. So Aaron's just a great guy. There's a few other guys that are at the top that are going to be phenomenal. Ali Bilal this year is just a beast. He's just so freaking shredded. It's you still got the Brazilians. Um,
Diogo, yeah,
Diogo Montenegro is just insane. He's getting blockier and blockier.
bubbly, yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
Emmanuel Hunter is going to be a problem.
Manuel.
yeah,
Yeah,
His
for Tampa.
updates are, I think he has the best back in the division now. His back looks like it has a back. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like just the 3D indent of the lower back itself. I think he's gonna be crazy. I think, like Diogo, E-Man's core never really popped, genetically, but it looks to be like he's gotten the conditioning right to the point where his core can not hurt him as much. Diogo's core again, it's a very shallow core, so you don't get those deep indents that like an Ali has. Obviously, core is a huge component of our division. It's the shape too, but like if you don't have a core, it's gonna be really hard to crack that top three when you have the Terrys of the world and Ali. I mean, you look at Ali, right? If he didn't have that core, he would struggle
yeah,
because
oh yeah. Those obliques in that core. He's like,
overall, you look at his physique and your eyes are always at his core. If you really kind of look around, it's like, okay, could use a little more delts, upper chest, right? It's not quite as 3D around it as, say, an Aaron or a Ryan, but his core is just something you can't deny is the best core in the game. And he contorts it in a way that just shows that perfect shape. So, and he's got the look, right? It's a show at the end of the day. It's a pageant in a way. He's got the men's physique look to him. Obviously, he opens up to a new market. It doesn't mean they're gonna give him the Olympia for that. But
yeah,
when you
opening up
have
Afghanistan isn't gonna.
if you have 50 to 60, well, because he trains in Dubai, like he goes
Yeah.
around a lot. And so he helps the sport, and he's got a big social presence because he's very marketable, right? But obviously, these judges are not idiots, right? They have social media. Like when you have 60 people walk out, they kind of know who they're gonna be looking at a little bit more carefully, right? But I do believe the judges do the best they can once they get down to like picking out the top call out and who should really be there. I don't think they're thinking like who's gonna give us more likes or attention to the sport. But obviously, subconsciously, like when you have 60 athletes walk out, it does benefit you to have a name that's going to demand some eyeballs on you immediately. You still have to bring the physique to back it up. But yeah, once you've made a name, so like Ali, like you know he's going to get a look right away. So
Yeah.
in that way, of course, it helps to build your brand. You know, whereas if you're like a first time Olympian, you better bring something special to catch an eye. I think that's kind of where we're at.
So that goes to both of you then. You're getting ready to do the Better Bodies, right? You're doing Janet Leo's show.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, Alex's, yes.
Okay. And then, but you're both prepping for
Amateur Olympia.
Amateur Olympia. Okay, so that's September, what, October
October 8th.
8th.
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot of time. That's good.
Yeah.
But just then, so Alex, you're going from possibly 5 to 8 guys in the B class in Fort Lauderdale and you're both B,
Yes.
to probably
20 plus.
15 to 25 guys in the B at the Amateur Olympia.
Yep.
And then what's your thoughts on going to an Olympia and being in a 40 to 60 guy class? Is there the sense of just getting buried, or do you think as a no name you could pop that one time and
I think they don't, it's obviously not like the pros, right? They don't have a roster before the show. They don't know where to look, right? So I think it's the even playing field, right? I think it just you better have a good look to catch that eye early because when there's that many people, like they have to make decisions quickly. I think shape is probably more important as the show progresses and they're really starting to figure out where to place you. But call out wise, I would have to say conditioning is probably what's going to catch the eye first, right? So like it's going to be harder. You're not the shape isn't what catches your eye first. The shape might be something that sets you apart when they're placing you. But if you come in peeled out of your mind and drier than everyone else, like that's the first thing they're going to see. So I think the most important thing is to come in shape for these shows and make sure your conditioning is on point. And then it's really going to come down to genetic size and the density. I mean, you look at the guy that won Universe, right? He just had such density and dryness to him, and everything is very mature. And there was a lot of guys that had good shape and everything, but you notice that, okay, he has the conditioning. And then when you look at them side by side in the top overall call out, he had everything else to go with it. But like his core was so defined. I saw from the back row, I could see his core. And so, you know, it plays favors where you don't really see people with like a washed out core making like a national top three, right? Um,
no?
so yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's hard to know what to expect. Even I'm not even worried about that right now. I'm so hyper focused on Janet's show because I have ultimate respect for the Florida competition. Now that they've added pro men's physique as well as bikini, this is going to be judged by Tyler Mannion. You're going to have people that want to qualify for Olympia or get a last look at from Tyler before they go to Olympia. I know my friend Ben Quill has been promoting it hard for Janet as well. So this is going to be tough. It's probably going to start to get to like the UGP level competition.
Yeah.
So, and being in a class B, like who knows who's going to show up, right? So I'm just focused on getting my top two in my class and potentially going for the overall before worrying about the Olympic competition. I think so many people overlook these regional shows, and that's probably why they get so bummed if it doesn't go their way because they were looking past it, right?
Yeah.
You have to be prepared for, look, G, right, has won UGP, which is the top one of the toughest regional shows in the country, right? And he's going to be doing first call out this year. He's taking some time off. So there's probably people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going for first call out overall, blah blah blah." Literally, no, they're gonna have to go against someone that's done 3 4 national shows, however he's done. So you never know who's gonna show up. I could be going against a former overall, like a two-time overall that took some time off and comes back. So it's not that I don't believe in myself. I'm gonna bring a pretty damn amazing package, but I have too much respect for the sport and the competition nowadays to start talking about a pro card or what I'm gonna do at the Amateur Olympia.
I've made that mistake. We're good.
Yeah. But for sure, like I mean, I took an 18-month off season on purpose just to get to nationals. Like that's what I'm focused on. I'll worry about the pro card later down the road. Like right now, let's just get to nationals, bring a damn good look, and then enjoy Vegas for a little bit. Go back to life. I'm gonna get a back surgery at the end of the year too. I just have pretty bad scoliosis that causes nerve pain in the glutes. It's really bad. So gonna take it that get that taken care of at the end of the year. Might go up to class C actually. It's gonna elongate me a little bit, so I might gain like an
Wow.
inch. Yeah. So if anything, it will benefit my physique even more and give me a little bit more, even more of a V taper. And it's only like a 6 week recovery, 5, 6 weeks. So I'll probably want to reverse a little bit. G and I have been talking a lot about um, the best time to really put on some muscle right away is your body like right after depleting those, 4 to 6 weeks after a show is really important for making some progress early on. So I'll want to reverse back a little bit, get to a good point, then do the surgery, take a break, and then push into an off season.
That's a great plan. That four to
Yeah.
six week bounce right after is just
Yeah,
heaven.
capitalize on that. Obviously now that I'm on TRT, I won't probably lose too much muscle in a month time, right? It's more of getting my body a break. I mean, G had knee surgery in January, right? G was January,
Yeah, my
like
my
his
femur. Yeah,
femur.
I
Sorry.
got the metal replaced in my leg.
Yeah, so he was out for like a month, but G had so much size that he could have. You were like 230 then, though. You went in. He was a big boy in that
But
surgery.
it's funny after you have the surgery, it's like we're so used to working out every day, and your body really needs to break. And being out for a month and just letting my body kind of rest and recover. As soon as I came back, my muscle just started growing and growing and growing, and I've made tremendous progress, ever since. So
Guys
it,
just have to be prepared that that 4 to 6 weeks is the magic point, and week
right.
7 to week 36. So 1 year, I had a beautiful bounce, and my coach was saying, "All right, we're going to continue to put on some slow and steady mass." Well, it was neither slow nor steady, and I'm thinking 53 pounds between seasons, baby. 49 is muscle, four is fat. It was exactly the opposite. It was four of muscle and 49 of fat. And
Jeez.
getting ready for the stage the next year was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, those you got to take that reverse seriously. You see a lot of people that they can't control themselves, and I think they just have to remind themselves like the whole point of sport is having discipline. So, if you're someone that struggles with I can't just have one cookie, I gotta have an entire container or bag. I think you just need to be realistic with yourself and be like, okay, I need to show the same respect for the sport I did during my prep after as well. Because if you don't have that control, that's not a cookie problem. That's a you problem, right? The cookies are there. The cookies aren't making you do anything. You're the one deciding to do it. Like, and temptations are the same for everyone, right? Like for me, bag of pretzels. I mean, I'm savory. Like I crave like pizza, burger, anything, or even just like a Publix sandwich, right? Like a pub sub. G, he loves his sugar and stuff, but like we all have the ability to be all right. That's enough, and it's a shame that some people don't. And a lot of them probably could progress a lot quicker in the sport if they weren't so hyper on and hyper off. Like it's like if you can be a little bit more balanced throughout, like maybe even not be so serious in prep if you know you can't handle it for a year long or whatever it is, right? So
Well, used properly, this is a sport that should teach you a lot about yourself instead of just bringing out all your things that need therapy. Instead of all your morphias, your dysmorphia, ectomorphia, whatever it is, used properly, we should be learning about our strengths and weaknesses and coming out of prep and saying, all right, here's the things I need to work on next year. And it's not just my calves and shoulder caps.
yeah,
Unfortunately, for a lot of people, the spin just continues and it becomes a dangerous cycle. So, back to the magazine dreams, it might be a good look into a lot of people. And we really need to find that we have maybe some Pilates. But for the right people, we should be coming out saying, all right, cookies are my weakness. Like for me, there was a period of time where there was the weakness. And now I'm realizing I can hit some of that with a little Greek yogurt with protein powder and peanut butter in it. And I can make it macro perfect and it tastes like pie. And I didn't even know I was a pie guy before that, but suddenly my craving is gone and my macros are perfect. So I don't know. It's about balance. It's all about balance, about finding the love in this. That's like you said earlier, if you're not enjoying the journey, you got to find something else because going in, meeting a new best friend backstage, coming up with life plans with somebody else, and competing, training every day has got to be fun. And you got to find pleasure in the pain at some point, or it's just pain.
yeah, I think a lot of people have to be real with themselves. Like, do you actually like the sport? Are you doing it for likes on Instagram? Like, what do you actually enjoy digging deep? Like, a lot of people ask me, like, oh, I feel bad. You can't eat this. You can't do that. Like, don't feel bad for me. I don't feel bad for myself. I feel bad that you don't have something you're this passionate about. Like, I'm 35. Like, my lacrosse career is long gone. Like, I play for the England national team and that ship has sailed. I'm not running around and hitting people anymore. My knees are too done for that. But like, I have a second win now doing a different sport I love. So like, I said this the other day, like, if you haven't tasted a pizza after not tasting it for X amount of months at a time, you've never tasted pizza before. Like that's like a different level. So like I feel bad for the people that are eating it every week and will not know what it really truly feels like to give something up and then come back to it.
To be a masters competitor well into my 50s and still improving every year has got to be the greatest feeling ever. I think I'm close to done, if not completely done. But to have those years between 49 and 56 where I could look around and say, and all my friends are falling apart and say, I just still have the focus and discipline. That felt so good inside to know that the mind was pushing the body, not the other way around. And no matter how things hurt or didn't recover, did recover, it felt so good to just be out there, be an inspiration to myself, to other people, to the kids I coach. I coach powerlifting, and just to continue to carry that through into my later years has been phenomenal. It's been such a gift.
Maybe this is a good time to pivot. I know you, with the two films that you came out with, one about a transgender swimmer, I believe. So what's next for Tim? You want to talk a bit about that project?
Yeah, that's actually coaching girls weightlifting, and I just think it's inspiring for anybody else to feel what it feels like to the empowerment for their brain to move weight, to know that they can do things and have new PRs and recover and just to have that spiritual gain of there's more to it than just lifting weight. Doing that for girls has been even more empowering, and watching them grow stronger mentally and physically. And when this whole transgender athlete thing started to happen, I said I would be crushed and so angry if one of my girls lost her spot to a boy in a singlet. And then the whole Riley Gaines thing was getting more and more thing. And I was on my way to a meeting about a movie. We were going to do a documentary about Title IX and all the stuff that's going on. And the idea for this movie came, and I just started writing it into my phone and transcribing the scenes. When I got to the meeting, I pitched it, and we ended up making it about 6 months later. And Dean Cain and Kevin Sorbo and some other great actors, and it was just such an exciting thing. It's called And God Made Man, and it's got a spiritual component too, a faith-based component that really brings the whole thing, hopefully, in an inspirational light for people to say, all right, this is what truly makes sense and why it makes sense, and we should kind of get behind the common sense of all of this.
I was just searching for it. So
Oh, that was great. That was really,
right
that was
here.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is
So
and you said it's streaming everywhere but Netflix, right?
everywhere but Netflix. I'm super proud of that one, and hope it inspires people to continue to take up the fight and just get the laws passed that make women's sports for women, men's sports for men. And if they want to create a separate category for everybody to compete in one that they know full well what you're getting into, by all means, go ahead.
Oh, I
But
agree. I agree.
genetically, we are men or we are women, and there are so many advantages physically to being a man in a woman's sport that it's just not fair.
Yeah, and I think if they need to make another category, at the end of the day, if you're going to make a life decision to switch genders, you know that there's going to be some ramifications to doing that. It doesn't mean that you can't do it if that's your preference. It just means that it's probably going to have a ripple effect of other things in life. There's pros and cons to everything, right, that we do. So if you make the decision that you feel more comfortable as a female, that means you're gonna have to give up some of the things that you had access to as a male. Just, so I think it's just like a balance and finding a happy medium. But I do agree. I don't think that someone that has changed should compete in the female side if that's the case. Um, I think it's a shame though that people can't talk about it calmly and have like a respectful conversation about it. I think we live in this world with Instagram where like cyber warrior, cyber, typers, and they just say the meanest things. And I just think as a society we've lost the ability to be rational and have a discussion about it. Um, Politically, whatever it is. We're pretty much a two-lane society. You like Nick Walker, you don't like Nick Walker. You like Bob, you hate Bob. Like it's just like there's no middle ground anymore.
You're right, and that's what it's come down to. You either like or you hate. There's no, he's a decent guy. I'm sure I don't agree with him, but I'm sure he's a decent person. There's none of that anymore. And that's what this issue should definitely be on, more of a common sense. Here's the common sense of it. You might feel different, but here's the think. And that's what we've also gotten away from. We're so feelings based that we're not thinking anymore.
Absolutely gut reaction. But what's next for you? So obviously with, you have a lot going on in terms of bodybuilding. Are you guys just looking to keep advancing the podcast, keep growing the evolution of the I guess the viewer experience from home, right?
We're going to continue to try to add features to that to make it even more ESPN like, with maybe some other footage, some more in studio stuff, continue to bring in top guests that people relate to. We're hoping to get a couple of great guests the week before the Olympia this year. Um, More live type appearances. We were all at the Legions in Reno, Tarek and Chris and I, and that was a lot of fun. Just get on stage and have the show be live. Um, I've still got the Olympia and emceeing the two of you in the Olympia Amateur this year. So that's going to be fun. Hopefully, I'll be saying one or both of your names
Yeah.
to get that pro card and join us in the IFBB Pro League.
Yeah.
Uh, and then writing, I've got a couple movies in the hopper that we're writing, and hopefully getting those out. We just released one June 6th. It's another kids and family movie called F Plus with Randy Couture
Yep.
and Tommy Davidson from Living Color, who was hilarious. So just keep putting out good content for people, and keep out there, keep having some fun.
It's
Oh,
like
there it
plus,
is right
right?
there, man. You were
Yep.
prepared. That's it right there. If people have kids between about age, I don't know, 7 and 12, this is one of the purest PG movies that's come out in a long time. Back in the old days, there was always something as a parent, you go, oh, I wish that
Like
wasn't a
good. It's
movie.
got good reviews. Very good reviews.
Yeah, no, it's well liked, and it's really just only been out about 7 weeks. So hopefully it'll keep gaining steam. It's just a purely funny, good family movie.
Well, listen, Tim, it's been a pleasure to learn a little bit more about everything you got going on. And we potentially would love to collaborate with you guys in some way, shape, or form. Part of what we're trying to do is grow the sport and showcase the sport in its positive lights while addressing some of the negatives. And we also we don't only have pros on or promoters, or we also have amateurs, right? That maybe have not had the spotlight, to showcase their hard work. So we'll have to stay connected and see how we can keep growing the game the right way, and continue growing the sport at the end of the day that we all live and breathe and love.
And the more you guys continue to put out the positivity to this and bring people on to give people the right way to do this, the more it's going to grow without that outside influence of negativity and media attention that we don't need,
Yep.
because things happen to people. The more we can grow that, the more we're going to make this aspirational, that people want to be a part of what we truly bring.
Right.
Uh, Not just like you said, it's not smelling salts and powerlifting. There's something truly magical about working so hard to get out there and show your best. A lot of people are doing transformations, overcoming obstacles, diseases, surgeries. Seeing those people have those moments on stage is really the magic.
Absolutely. And the sport is growing so quick. We need to keep up with it. Everyone talking about how there's so many pro cards. Well, hell, there's a lot of good physiques now, right? Like the sport is growing. The social media is probably the biggest proponent of that, right? Because now people love to showcase their story, their journey, follow other people's stories, and it's just compounding from there, so exponentially. So, we do want to quickly give a shout out to our sponsors of Wolfpack. This podcast is brought to you by Wolfpack. We align with their mindset of never average, always a wolf. Use code LIFTED at checkout and make your mark. Tim, there you go with the Olympia
Oh, there you go,
patch.
the official.
Tim, well, you're in Orlando, so you're not far from us. We should definitely link up at some point. I don't think you're gonna be at the Tampa Pro, but I'll be there on Saturday.
I'll be emceeing for Lee Labrada. I'll be out there
By the
training
way.
with Hunter.
Okay.
And so good luck to everybody at the Tampa Pro this weekend. I know so many, you got every class all the way from pro to over 60. So good luck, everybody. Be safe and have fun. And then good luck to you. If I don't talk to you between now and then, good luck at the Better Bodies. And then I'll see you both
In
at the
Las
Olympia.
Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Out
Yes,
bodies,
get it.
first call out, and then we're flying out to Vegas. It's exciting, I'm doing the Open and 35 at Janet, so I don't know if I'll end up doing both in Olympia or maybe just one. But I'm excited. It's going to be a good show, and we'll stay in touch, Tim. And we would love to have you back on, maybe pre-Olympia or post-Olympia. We'll do a special episode that's geared a little bit towards the Olympia. I think
Break
that'd
it
be
down. We'll break down the top 10 in the classes you want to talk about.
I think so, and I think there just needs to be more sharing of knowledge in the sport. We're getting more and more spectators, right? And so now to help educate them, like whether it's the posing or division by division, we have your content info. We'll be in touch, and we'll probably set that up.
I'm
Cool,
looking
fellas.
forward to it.
Thank you both.
Yeah,
Of
thank you very
course,
much, Tim.
Have
Chris
a great day.
Chris
Great
gives his
meeting you. Have
regards.
a
He'll
great
be on
day.
the next episode. So
All
we'll
right.
see you,
Take care.
Tim. Okay, bye.
Bye.